We are just a couple days away from Colorado's biggest test of the season. Will they win it? Will they lose it? I think they're going to win out.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You get to start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And we all love free things, and we all love Phillip Dukes, who's on the move now. He's with Well Off Media. He's with the pregame show. He's doing a little bit of everything. Phillip, thank you for joining us. Let's dive right into it. It's the biggest test of the year for Colorado, realistically. They've been proven. They've been battle-tested throughout the season with they suffered their first lump against Nebraska, right? And then Kansas State was kind of another test to show that they could compete with the ranked teams. They just couldn't hold on to the win. And then they went on a run. And now they're just blowing teams out. And the playoff rankings come out. They're number 20 in the country. There's a real path to the playoff, which we'll talk about later. Talk to me about how important this game is.
I think it's the first game where Colorado has a real opportunity to talk about playoff aspirations, not only because of the rankings, but because you've seen them be dominant in multiple games, especially in this last hot streak. And I think this is the first time you've got the iteration of Colorado where they feel like they've always felt like that they were going to be a dominant and a great team. But now you got the national media behind you, and now the microscope is different. They always wanted you to lose, but now it's like times 10 because you're actually winning. So now taking that target on your back, which they and I truly believe they always felt like we're going to be everybody's Super Bowl even before they went on this run. So now it's just about maintaining. It's like a marathon, right? It's like the last lap in the 400 or the last lap in the 800. It's really like just continue that endurance. And I think more than anything, this isn't going to be a test of I would say top level talent. It's not going to be a test of coaching strategy. I think it's going to be a test of endurance and will.
Yeah, I think you made a great point. And the Super Bowl point was my favorite. So I think it was Shador that said it at Big 12 Media Days. And people misconstrued it so much to the point where it was like unbearable because everyone knew what he was talking about. And for those of you who don't understand it, and I'll explain it to you, I'll be the guy who has to dumb it down for everyone. Everyone hates Colorado. Like, let's just put it that way. No one likes them. So when people play them, they want to kick their ass. Right, Phillip? Is that the perfect summary there?
Yeah,
now,
I mean, yeah.
Now it's changed because now they are good. And so now it's like, one, people want to kick their ass. And two, Colorado's last 3 games are winning by an average of 21 points. So it's like now Colorado's a really good team. So things are a little bit different. And this Texas Tech team, I wouldn't say you want to sleep on them, right? They took down Iowa State in Ames, which is a very tough place to win. It was rainy. It was wet. It was cold. Iowa State was undefeated. It was their best start in program history. And Texas Tech came down. They had a huge drive at the end of the game where they were just making plays. And so this Colorado team will be tested. But I think, as we both know, I think Coach Prime has these guys ready for a test like this.
Yeah, just seeing the bye week, seeing Travis Hunter going practicing a day early on usually was one of his rest days based on how much his based on his utilization. Coach Prime stopping practice the other day saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm stopping practice just to say just to say thank you, because usually coming off the bye, it's hard to get guys motivated. You had a week off, or you and when I say a week off, you don't have to get in that mode or that mentality. And when you get rolling, a lot of times you wish you didn't have a bye. You're rolling, you're used to the program and what you're doing. But I think as far as what they are able to put together as far as the game plan, having an extra week to kind of look at what was going on, then also allow yourself to get healthy, allow yourself another week off where you don't have to go to battle the way that you would have done. I think all of that is important when it comes to kind of getting fired up and getting reared up for this game. But I just think that Colorado now is like, okay, so we're ranked now. All right, we moved up in the rankings without playing anybody. Okay, oh, now we're second in the Big 12. Okay, well, now let us not be worried about what happened when we weren't here, and let's show America what happens when we are here.
Yeah, I think that's a great take right there. And also, this Saturday, we're going to find out how mentally tough they are, right? I think this is, like you were mentioning, you come off a bye week where Deion Sanders, he gets to go fishing, right? He gets to go home. Travis Hunter gets to go Heisman campaigning. I think, honestly, last week of college football when Colorado wasn't playing, I think that solidified that Shedeur Sanders was the best quarterback in the country because there was just so many mistakes, and like Carson Beck is collapsing before our very eyes. Cam Ward, for how good he is, he has a lot of like iffy moments where he's going to put the ball into a risky situation. And it's just like Shedeur Sanders walks away as the best quarterback, in my opinion. And then Colorado jumps into the rankings and they jump up. Well, they're already ranked, but they jump up even more. And it's like everything around them's on fire. And then Colorado's just sitting there like, yeah, we had a good weekend off. And so now that they just had all of that happen, can they flip that switch back on and be like, okay, it's time to kill. Like, it is time to hop back into that mode, because we've seen it all the time, and not with Colorado specifically, but in college football, in the NFL, whenever there's off weeks, teams come back and they're either like nails or they are like lethargic. And it's like, okay, please wake up. It's the second quarter and we have 17 yards of offense, right?
Yeah, I'd agree. But I think Colorado comes out like nails, like you said. I think they come out hard. I think they want to make a statement. This is a statement game. And we know with the playoff committee watching, everybody knows, and this may segue into your next segment, but everybody knows that who's more excited in the nation than a two-loss player and than a two-loss Colorado team with opportunity. We're only talking about 8 spots, and you got 4 weeks left. That's yeah. I mean, I could definitely see a world where Colorado makes the playoffs.
Yeah, Phillip Dukes is a pro. What a transition by Mr. Dukes over here. We're going to talk about what Colorado's path to the playoff is, but first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privilege of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL season is in full swing, and get ready to tackle that NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5, only have to bet $5, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Derrick Henry, big dude, strong dude, always due for a touchdown. I would look that direction. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Let's talk about it. Colorado's going to the playoff. I'm joined by Phillip Dukes. He's a little bit all over the place now. He's with Well Off Media. He's with the pregame show. And right now he's with Kevin Borba talking about Colorado's playoff path, which I don't want people to get upset, because you know how people get, Phillip. They get upset.
Yeah.
But so we'll preface this with this. First of all, the obvious in this whole scenario is Colorado has to win their last 4 games. If they lose, I think 3 losses, eliminates anyone. I don't think we'll see a single 3-loss team in the playoff. And if we do, I promise you it'll probably be an SEC team that's like an Ole Miss or someone like a Georgia or something who loses in a fluky scenario where they've been good for the most of the season. I don't think the playoff committee respects the Big 12 enough yet. Doesn't mean it's fair, but that's how I view it. Colorado's path to the playoff. They have to win out, and then they also need to have some things in front of them happen. So here are the things that they need to happen and things that will happen. Kansas State and Iowa State, they play each other. Kansas State is ranked above Colorado in the playoff standings, 1 spot, as is Iowa State. But Colorado has the advantage over Kansas State in the Big 12 standings, so they obviously need them to lose, and then Iowa State has to lose another game as well. Pitt, they rank 18th in the country in the playoff rankings. They play Clemson, number 23. I think if Pitt loses, they're going to drop probably out of the rankings if they're at 18 sitting at 7-1. Ole Miss, like I previously mentioned, they play Georgia. They're sitting at 7-2. 3 losses is currently what I view as sort of the elimination mark. And so that loss is going to come for Ole Miss most likely. And if it doesn't, Georgia will be 1 loss away. So there's something to look out for there. LSU and Bama, they play this week. They're both 6-2. Elimination game to the max right here. I think I would hate to be either coach. I think fan bases will probably have a full-on meltdown for whoever loses that game, right? Brian Kelly, can he get them over the hump? Kalen DeBoer, is he wearing a T-shirt on the sidelines again? We don't know, but will people be mad? Yes. Texas A&M plays Texas. Texas A&M sitting at 7-2, and Texas may be the most unimpressive 7-1 team I've seen all season. They have probably, and it's not anything that they've done, but they have the worst quarterback opponents I've ever seen. I think the best quarterback they've played is Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, which, I mean, he's really good. But they've had Carson Beck, who's clearly going through some things. People are blaming his girlfriend. He's dating one of the Cavender twins. Don't know which one. Well, it's not her fault. You know, she's not the one throwing in the triple coverage. I promise you that. And then there's also, they're playing Florida this week, and DJ Lagway's questionable. And then they've played Oklahoma's backup. They played Michigan's quarterback, who's terrible. They've played they played General Booty, Phillip. That's he's probably a top 5 quarterback they played. And realistically, this will be a callback for Colorado fans. Braden Fowler-Nicolsi is probably the 3rd best quarterback they've played this season. Do with that what you will. So I don't think Texas has an impressive resume. They have the biggest brand in college football as from a program perspective, I think one could argue. So they're an interesting case if they lose. And then Ohio State plays Indiana. Indiana has the lowest strength of schedule in the top 25, right? It was in the hundreds. And if they lose to their one test and say it's a 21-point loss, does the playoff committee respect them? Do they give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, well, it's Ohio State? Not with this Ohio State team, in my opinion. So I think that is the path. You need a lot of those teams to lose. And Colorado won. You got to win out. And it doesn't hurt to win by 21 points each game, Phillip.
Right. No, absolutely not. You would like to see a dominant Colorado. I think they're hungry. I think they want to sit in the cut. I don't think they want people like it's almost like a Colorado fan now. It's like stay on that side. Like they don't, hey man, the only ranking that they may be worried about is the playoff ranking, but the AP, the coaches poll, and we know all of that, plays a part. But yeah, I just think the chip on their shoulder that Colorado came in with, and especially as that chip starts to grow after the loss to Nebraska, it's like, okay, we know we're better than this. Kansas State, you had opportunities to win that game. Couldn't pull that one off. Okay. And then you get on that run once you realize like we really are like that. And I think that's where Colorado is right now. And I think that with everything that has to happen to college football, it's not that hard. Like all of this stuff can happen being that it's college football. You like and we haven't had the craziest games yet. You're still like November every year, November, December, it always gets wacky. The teams that's supposed to win, and a lot of times I know people hate to talk about stuff like this, but sometimes you got teams of destiny. And I think that if you see Colorado hold on to what they're supposed to do and do what they're doing right now, they'll become one of those teams. And I just don't see a world where they continue to play at the same clip that they've been playing and stay healthy. And versus another 2-loss team, depending on who the team is. I mean, it's hard to keep the star power of Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. It's not just Coach Prime. You got two Heisman candidates and Coach Prime. Come on, bro. It's going to be hard to keep them out.
Yeah, Colorado, I'm going to piggyback off your team of destiny point, right? I think Colorado's team of destiny-ish right now at the moment. They have to finish their business, but realistically, the playoffs about money. Colorado's going to generate tons of revenue. And if they have a deserving resume where they win out convincingly and the right teams lose, there's no reason that they can't make the playoff. Now, obviously, the easiest way to make is the Big 12 title game. But if they don't make it there because of the standings, I think this Colorado team has a chance to compete. I think this Colorado team has a chance to turn a lot of heads. And I think realistically, November for the rest of the teams around the country and even Colorado, if things don't go right, that's where dreams go to die, is November, because you are so close to the finish line and all of a sudden something happens where you lose your week 13 game. So Colorado just has to handle their business. I think me and you both think that they have a very good chance of winning out. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we come back. But first, a quick break. Okay, gentlemen, let's get a little uncomfortable. Let's get a little serious. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. No one wants to not be able to perform in the bedroom. November is a serious time for college football, but it's also an important time for guys in the bedroom, right? Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you a boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and they're generics for up to 95% cheaper. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plan. I think Colorado shouldn't have to worry about getting up for these last 4 games, Phillip. I really do. They have everything that they want to achieve in front of them, and I'll give you my take, and I want you to sort of tell me if I'm crazy or if you agree with me. So we look at Colorado's final 4 games, and heading into this season, I call this the stretch of death. And I called it that because I saw a Utah team that was fresh off of, they had a bad season last year, but 2 years before that, Pac-12 titles back-to-back, right? They were getting Cam Rising back. They were getting Brant Kuithe back at tight end, one of the best defenses in the country. Their coach, Kyle Whittingham, said, this is the best Utah team in program history. And I was like, okay, that's a little scary to have at the end of the season. Texas Tech, they were viewed as a dark horse last year, and they kind of fizzled. But it's usually those dark horse teams or projected dark horse teams that bounce back the following year. And I was like, okay, Texas Tech's going to have something to prove. Kansas, Jalen Daniels, he's really good. I thought he had Heisman caliber potential. We have not seen that from him, but he had that potential at one point last year. And then Oklahoma State was the runner-up in the Big 12 this past season. And so it's like, okay, this stretch could be very difficult. There was people really saying that Colorado would be lucky to escape the stretch 1-3. Now, I think this stretch is a failure if they finish 3-1. I think in a perfect world, Colorado is going 4-0 down this final stretch. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I mean, that's not far-fetched at all. And I always look at it like, what team is better on paper than them? And that stretch, like when you go and find out, see, there were some guys that we didn't know about yet. We didn't know Isaiah Augusta, excuse me. We didn't say, I always want to call him Gustave for whatever reason, but Isaiah Augusta, we didn't know what he was going to be. We didn't know how the wide receivers were going to mesh again. We didn't know how the offensive line was going to perform. We didn't know about Nakai Hill-Green. There was so much that you just didn't know about. And now when you start to see the fruition of these guys, Colton Hood is a 4th corner who could probably start at he's probably your number 2 at any other school in the country. So when you look at what you actually have, it's like, man, now you see it. You didn't see this same battle-tested 2-loss Colorado team. And when you talk about those, like you need those L's sometime to find out who you are. And they found out because they had every reason to say, all right, you know what, we'll lay it down, we quit, boom. And they didn't. And so now this Colorado team looks different than the Colorado team going into the season. And then everybody else looks different too, right?
Yep.
I think Texas Tech is about right around where you would think they would be. Earlier in the season, I think a lot of people probably would have had Colorado's season inversed or maybe 3 wins, but definitely not as many wins as they have now. And so I think even if going into the season, if we knew what Texas Tech was going to be, a lot of people would not have picked Colorado to beat a Texas Tech team that just came off of an upset win against Iowa State, who has a running back that's ran for 100 yards every time he's suited up this year, who have a quarterback who has, and Barry Morton, who's 19 touchdowns versus 5 interceptions. Going into the season, you would have thought, a lot of people would have thought that. But now it's like, bro, I don't see nobody on that schedule with a better roster than them, based off what we've seen. And you got to line it up. And I think Colorado does a great job of lining it up. And I think the last point I'll make is, man, when the coordinators get in the groove, man, Man, when coordinators get in a groove, defensively and offensively, I think a perfect example would be Kyle Shanahan with the Falcons and that magic run they had.
Yep.
2016. Kyle Shanahan got in a groove. The year before, he was okay. Even when he got to San Francisco, he was still cool for that. But with what he had that year, he was in the groove. And more than anything, what he had was a veteran quarterback who didn't turn the ball over. And I think with Shedeur, that's the most important thing that you have in November and this month is a veteran quarterback who takes care of the football and demands accountability. And I think Colorado has all those things. So I don't think you're far-fetched at all, brother.
Yeah, and I think Colorado needs to win out, right? To even the Big 12 is wacky. There's no other way to put it. Right now, 14 of the 16 teams in the conference have some sort of path to the Big 12 title game. Like there's if scenarios for 14 of the 16 teams. For Colorado, they can make it easy on themselves. You win out, you handle your job, and everything else will fall into place. And so I think this team has a chance to prove a lot of people wrong, including myself. My preseason record prediction, which is always hard for a team like Colorado who gets 50 new players per season, I was sitting at 7-5. So, I mean, they are one win away from pretty much erasing or matching my record prediction already. 2 wins would erase it already. And I think this team has exceeded expectations. I also want to shout out Robert Livingston. You talked about the coordinators catching fire. Robert Livingston may be the hire of the year. I'm going to go out and say it because he takes over a team or a Colorado defense that was statistically one of the worst last year. They couldn't tackle, they couldn't cover, they couldn't do much. And so he comes in with new players and comes in and says, what are we good at? Because we're going to do that. And so he puts Travis Hunter, Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney on islands and says, you guys cover because that's what you guys can do. And we're going to make it hell for people who try to run the ball against us. And they've done that. And so if they could slow down Taj Brooks and make this a Baron Morton game, Phillip, do you trust Baron Morton or Shedeur Sanders more?
Shedeur Sanders.
Obviously. That was basically a rhetorical question. Yeah, right. We trust Shedeur Sanders more. So this Colorado team has a chance to make a huge statement this weekend. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to win. Survive and advance is what I believe the people say, and I think that's what Colorado has to do. Just survive and advance and let everything else fall into place. Phillip, I appreciate you for joining us. Before we go, tell the people what's new for you and what you're working on because you got a little switch up.
Yeah, so actually, so I'm working with Bucky Sanders, Deion Sanders Jr. at Well Off Media. So I got a show called The CU Flex. Just had my first episode, so go check that out. Also today, my first episode of the pregame breakdown with Uncle Neely on the pregame network. The pregame show network is also out, and I've got and to be honest, I'm in some negotiations right now that are getting very close with some more entities. So. Man, let's just keep supporting me. I appreciate you guys. And one time for Colorado Nation, go Buffs.
Yeah, Phillip Dukes is always on the move. He's always doing something. We appreciate him for joining us over here on Locked On Buffs, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. And I hope all of you have a great Thursday evening.